The limits, and it is Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. And we have a lot to get to today, a lot to go over. And I want to remind all of you, if you're new to this show, or if you're not and you enjoy what we do, go to that Occupy Democrats page, click on that subscribe button. It's only $5 a month, a cup of coffee, and that'll give you some extra content from yours truly. Also, my socials, of course, on YouTube, at PTL Radio Show, TikTok, Facebook. I'm pretty active on all the social media platforms where I interact with my listeners. And, well, we got a lot to talk about today, as we always do. Donald Trump spent some time in Las Vegas over the weekend, and he spoke at a place called Big League Dreams Sports Park. Now, I've been there before. The facility that Donald Trump spoke in only holds maybe a few thousand people. But if you speak to Donald Trump and his supporters, they'll lead you to believe that there were 20,000 people there. Folks, there were not. And before I get to all that stuff, excuse me, Ben Bergquam, you might know this guy, Bergquam, whatever the hell his name is, from Real America's Voice. I don't think there's anything real about him. I don't think there's anything real about Real America. So he shows up at this Trump rally, which took place on Saturday midday, and there were some idiots, some trolls. I would also say some I guess you could call them Donald Trump cultists that spent the night there and camped out to hear Donald Trump, the bumbling fool, speak for an hour, the same speech over and over and over again, where he attacks Nikki Haley, he attacks Democrats, he says the world is going to end if Joe Biden is reelected, so on and so forth. We'll get to that. But Ben Bergquam starts off his little social media post when he was at the event on Saturday, lying about the crowd size. Have a listen to this.
All right, guys, I'm going to give you an idea how nuts this is. So this is the venue. They're going to have people on the outside here. This is the main inside. But wait till you see this line outside. I mean, Joe Biden, if he had an event, he'd struggle getting this in, and this is just the VIPs they've let in so far. Look at this line outside, and you want to see the support for President Trump with all of these fraud indictments, with this Gene Carroll garbage, lying about President Trump. The people get it.
It's so rich that he calls them fraud indictments, and he attacks E. Jean Carroll, and he says those are lies, yet he wears the Donald Trump knee pads. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. The dumbasses and the cultists, it was a big Klan rally over the weekend in Las Vegas, and he talks about this line. I've seen larger lines at nightclubs every weekend in Las Vegas. It was a single line, and the reason why Donald Trump and his people lied to you, because they want to make it sound like it was a huge crowd and all these people couldn't get in. Well, there's plenty of arenas where you could have had 6,000, 7,000 people, 10,000 people. Trump and his staff decided not to do that. So they hold it in this little Big League Dreams sports book, or Little League Dreams, or whatever the hell it's called, in this facility that only holds a couple thousand people, to make it seem like all these people couldn't get in and this and that. I mean, it's absurd. And Ben Bergquam goes on, and he's interviewing some of these dumb as a rock cultists that were waiting in line to listen to Trump speak.
First time.
You drove 8 hours to be here.
You drove 8 hours to be here.
From Silicon Valley.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Wait, 20 minutes.
20 minutes. 20 minutes, but first Trump rally.
Yeah. First
I
Trump
love
rally.
it. Army, God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Amazing, guys. All right. How you doing?
Yay! I get to hug Big Bergquam.
God bless you.
Sweet.
I'm showing how big the line is, but it's going to take me forever because we're talking. But raise your hand if it's your first Trump rally. That's what I want to see. Look at this. Look at the support. It's not shrinking. It's growing.
Yeah.
Why are you out here today?
Because he stands for truth.
Yeah.
He shoots straight from the hip, you know.
Are you from Las Vegas?
I'm from Virginia, but I've been out here 7 years.
And you look at what they're doing to him with the indictments,
Oh
with this
yeah.
Gene Carroll
I mean,
garbage.
the writing is on the wall, but he's got God. God has his back.
Amen.
And he's gonna make it through.
Amen.
Can you explain to me, when you use the two words truth, like this ignorant lady, and I feel really sorry for her, is using God and truth, that the first person that you would think of when it comes to God and truth is the orange turd Cheeto Jesus himself, Donald Trump? These people are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. Waiting in line, the cultists, to try to hear Donald Trump speak for an hour on the same crap he speaks about in every single speech. Then I move on to a local radio talk show host named Wayne Allen Root. I call him Wayne Allen Kook. I did an interview with this idiot a couple years ago, and hours after the interview, he was fired from the Review-Journal. Now, this is a guy who claimed that Muslims were responsible for October 1, that he's the reason why Donald Trump won in 2016. This is a guy that said calling somebody old is just as bad as calling a black person the N-word. He said that the Obamas have had gay relationships. This is a man who is unhinged and dangerous. He goes on the air every day and says millions of people are dying from the vaccinations. So it's not a shocker that Donald Trump chose this guy to introduce him on stage. Here's Wayne Allen Kook, the nut job, waiting in line to be at Trump's event, and the guy is such a clown, and he's so despicable. Have a listen to this.
Okay, Wayne.
Yes.
And wife.
Yes.
Your first name again?
Cindy.
Cindy. Why is this so important, and what's your message to the American people?
Well, the open border is the intentional destruction of the United States. We're not going to make it if we do not elect Trump in November. And I said that on a stage as the opening speaker for Trump on October 30th, 2016. I said, if Hillary wins, it's the third term of Obama. They will open the border. They will let the entire world in, and you will never elect another Republican president. And Trump stalled it for 4 years. Then they rigged the election, stole it from him, put their plan in play again. And now you got one shot. It will never elect another Republican again. And America's gone. Your health care's gone. The school system's gone. The military's gone. Everything will be gone. This is it. It's all on the line. Fight like your life depends on it, because this is the chance to save America. Trump is it.
Just complete idiots, and the cultists behind him clapping. First of all, he's still saying that the election was stolen, which it wasn't, because he's a liar. He's saying health care gone. He said the same thing before Barack Obama was elected in office, and then he brought us Obamacare, and it seems like the only thing that's gone was the replacement plan that Donald Trump said, oh, we're going to get it in 2 weeks, and it never showed up. This is the same thing that Wayne Allen Kook said right before Joe Biden was elected into office. The sky is falling. Our health care is gone. Our school systems are gone. Everything's gone. And again, I reiterate, it's not an open border, but when Joe Biden and the Democrats put forth a bill that would allocate funds to secure the border, the Republicans are voting against it because Donald Trump would rather it be chaos at the border, because it'll make Joe Biden look bad and his supporters will go after Joe Biden than solving the issues. This guy is such a snake. He's such a bad guy. He's such a liar with his fake teeth and his fake hair. And he's the guy that introduced Donald Trump. And oh, yeah, before he spoke in Las Vegas, before the orange turd spoke, a woman by the name of Sigal Chattah spoke. If you don't know who Sigal Chattah is, if you're not in local politics here nationally, she's another MAGA cultist moron who ran for office in Nevada. And during the time that she was running for office, she said that she wanted her opponent hanging from a crane. These are the types of people that Donald Trump wants speaking at their events. And let me also tell you something. I spoke to multiple people, friends of mine, that are not the biggest Trump supporters. In fact, some of them that are not Trump supporters at all. And they said at times they weren't even allowed in to listen to the speech because they don't wear the Donald Trump knee pads, that there were actual lifelong Republicans that weren't allowed in there because somebody might have supported Ron DeSantis. Can you imagine that happening at a Joe Biden rally or a Kamala Harris rally where somebody might be out in MAGA gear? They wouldn't stop them from coming in because it's not a dictatorship, the Biden administration. But Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator, and you can't go to one of his Klan rallies unless you're all in 100%. These people are cultists, they're ignorant, and they're losers as far as I'm concerned. There were some people there that I do respect, but they weren't there because they loved Donald Trump. They were there because they wanted to see the spectacle of idiots. And while Donald Trump was speaking, there were some protesters at the venue, and before even security escorted them out, Trump supporters were pushing them around, grabbing their clothes and shoving them out as the only way that these Trump cultist Klan members could possibly do. And then RSBN and the right-wing media covering this event, which was a joke, by the way. Even people that went to the event said it was a joke, the way it was handled and organized. Have you heard about this joke of a network, RSBN? Listen to this reporter do a live hit, so it's for lack of a better term, before Trump hit the stage.
Okay, we're about 25 minutes away from President Trump taking the stage here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're having a great time. The line is still long behind me, or behind you. I'm looking at it in front of me. Strict security, as always, at a Trump event. So the people are here, thousands of people, big crowds outside. They're eager, they're energetic, they're enthusiastic, they're hopeful. They want to see President Donald J. Trump. And they're coming from multiple states, I'm hearing. So it's not just Nevada. They're coming from California, from Utah, and all kinds of surrounding states driving in.
Wow, really edge of your seat reporting there. Thousands of people, the line behind me, in front of me, behind me. By the way, it was a single line that was behind her. Really riveting reporting from these RSBN reporters reporting live from the Donald Trump rally where there was a few thousand people there at best. And somehow it's got to be the biggest political rally in the history of the nation. Do you remember Donald Trump when he got in office and he said at the inauguration, biggest crowd ever, and we compare that crowd to Barack Obama and it wasn't even close. Obama's crowd was like 3 times bigger. That's all these people do is lie, and they kiss the ass of Donald Trump. The ass kissing it's endless with these cultists and these people. It really is. And then we get to Donald Trump, who spoke for about an hour and 15 minutes at this event, the bumbling and mumbling of the orange turd. And this is what these people want. They don't want somebody who can govern. They don't want somebody who could actually, do good for this country. They want somebody who can entertain and I guess impersonate the current president, because that's what Donald Trump did, impersonating Joe Biden. Have a listen to this.
2 weeks ago, I did one of the greatest imitations. I imitated him. He finishes his speech. His speeches last for about 3 minutes because, his gasoline sort of runs out a little bit. It's a little bit like an electric car, isn't it? It doesn't go far. Doesn't go far. Got a couple of problems. Doesn't go far. No, but he finished his speech, and I did this great imitation. The way he always points, like, huh. And then he walks in a different direction. But I did it. He goes like, huh.
Yeah. Oh, the cultists screaming and laughing. And, oh, my God, Donald Trump, he's so funny based on lies. Joe Biden's speeches are not 3 minutes. I think Donald Trump got that confused with how much time he spent with Stormy Daniels. So, again, more lies. Donald Trump trying to make people laugh. Trying to entertain people with his lies and BS rather than talk about the real things that he's going to do for the country or that he did do for the country, which was pretty much nothing, ladies and gentlemen. And this is another clip of Donald Trump lying when he talks about, his domestic deportation operation and how he wants to get all these people out of this country that are undocumented. This is very similar rhetoric, if you recall, to the words Donald Trump used back in 2016 when he was running against Hillary Clinton. Do you remember when he said we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it? Do you remember when he said I'm going to hire prosecutors to go after Hillary Clinton? These are just blatant lies. These are campaign lies. Now he's saying he's going to deport everybody that's undocumented in this country. Have a listen to this.
We have no choice. Within moments of my inauguration, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in America. No choice. We have no choice because this is not sustainable. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. They know that.
It is absolutely incredible that the guy saying the Joe Biden administration wants to stop him, when Donald Trump, according to several Republican members, said that Trump has advised them not to have this immigration deal put in place at the border because it would make Joe Biden look good and it would make Trump look bad. And he wants to wait, and he wants there to be more chaos, and he wants the economy to crumble until he gets back into office, because the only person that he cares about is himself. So I find it very rich that talking to his Klan cult members in Las Vegas on Saturday, that he's trying to make the case that it's Joe Biden that's stopping the Republicans, or in this case, it's Joe Biden that's stopping the MAGA Republicans, when it couldn't be further from the truth. There's a bill that's put on the table, and Mike Johnson, the GOP House Speaker, has already said that he's not even going to let it hit his desk. If anybody's stopping anybody, it's the MAGA Republicans, because they listen to everything that Donald Trump wants. And then Donald Trump starts to get into his cognitive tests, right? He tries to talk about Joe Biden and his cognitive difficulties. and the cognitive problems that our current president has. Have a listen to this.
I'll tell you what, I feel sharper now than I did 20 years ago. I really do. I don't know. It's probably not true. It's probably not true.
Probably not.
And I think anybody running for president should take an aptitude or a cognitive test. I do. I think it. You want to have people that can pass things.
This is the guy yesterday who made the mistake, excuse me, made the mistake of confusing Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi. This is the guy, if you want to talk about cognitive difficulties. Donald Trump says he's sharper now than 20 years ago. This is the same guy who said you need voter ID. You need ID to buy bread. The guy who said he defeated Barack Obama. The guy who said Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. And somehow, the Klan members on Saturday and across the country cheer him. They cheer him for it. And this is a really funny moment because it's so mesmerizing. It's such a lie, where Donald Trump claims that he's doing better with Hispanics than Democrats in general are. Have a listen to this.
Nobody to this day can explain why this open wound is good for our country. And even politically, why is it good politically? First of all, with the Hispanic vote, we're doing better now than the Democrat Party. So I think it's good for us. But we're going to seal the border, complete it, and we're going to repeal.
Yeah, well, they're going to, I don't know what he was going to repeal, but I would imagine it would be anything that would be good for the country. And it's interesting because there is no evidence that Hispanics are doing better with Republicans in general or Donald Trump than they would for Democrats. This was a Klan rally. No better. And if you ask people at the rally, what was the percentage of minorities? Less than 1%. This was a white Klan rally is what this was. And one of the other speakers there, the Nevada GOP chair who was indicted on a fake electorate scheme, who I believe is guilty, Michael Ronald McDonald, as I like to call him, he was there as well. And it's so interesting, and I love it when Donald Trump makes the case of, they're not after me, they're after you. Keep in mind, this was the first speech that Donald Trump had made when he had lost the battle with E. Jean Carroll, finding him liable of sexual abuse, and he's got to pay, I believe it's over $80 million. But he says, they're not after me, they're really after you. Listen to this.
Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. Never, ever. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. That's what they want to do. That's the game they play. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way. Here I am. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Had a good time.
No, they're after you. They're not after me. I haven't been indicted. I've never been accused of sexual assault, rape. I'm not in a courtroom. The DOJ isn't going after me. Last I checked, Mr. President, you have freedom of speech. You're able to hold these rallies and say what you want to say. You can't defame people. You're allowed to have these rallies even though you're facing what is 91 felony counts. And here's where Donald Trump says what he's going to do for us, what he's going to do for you and me, the little people. Have a listen to this.
We will protect innocent life and we will restore free speech, and I will secure the elections like never have been secured before.
He's going to restore free speech. My free speech hasn't been taken away. Your free speech hasn't been taken away. What free speech is he talking about? Is he talking about defaming women that you raped? I don't understand. What is Donald Trump talking about when he talks about free speech, which, by the way, pertains to the government, which I'm sure Donald Trump doesn't even understand? And then he talks about restoring our elections. Funny, I didn't hear that when Donald Trump won in 2016. I only heard that when he lost in 2020. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a cult. These are no more than Klan rallies. of very ignorant white middle America. These are uneducated, for the most part. These are uneducated people. These are people that do not believe in our justice system. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in any of the things that normal Americans agree upon. Many of these people, in my personal opinion, don't want to see black people, brown people in this country. Some of these people are absolutely racist. They're xenophobic. They think drag queen reading is the end of the world in this country. They're cultists, they're Klan members as far as I'm concerned, and they are extremely uneducated people. They're dopes who can't separate fact from fiction. They're dopes. And sadly, a good portion of those people that were at that Klan rally on Saturday live in Las Vegas. And you people were duped. Some of you weren't even allowed in the arena because you supported Ron DeSantis or maybe Nikki Haley. I know people personally, idiots that are surrogates of Donald Trump that were there, just complete despicable people. You can't come in here. No, you can't come in here because you supported Nikki Haley. You can't come in here because you supported Ron DeSantis. That would not happen at a Joe Biden rally. It wouldn't happen with our vice president either. That would not happen. You could show up decked in MAGA gear as long as you're not disruptive. They wouldn't kick you out. But if you showed up in Joe Biden gear, you wouldn't have been able to go anywhere near that rally because it's a dictatorship is what it is. And these are the people around it. Despicable people. The Segal Chattas, the Michael McDonalds, those types of people. The Wayne Allen Roots, they're despicable human beings. And these are the types of people that cling on to Donald Trump. These are the ass kissers that spoke before Donald Trump hit the stage. No distinguished people, no respected people, people with zero credibility who still believe Donald Trump won the 2020 election. And it's happening throughout the country at these events. The people that are speaking for Donald Trump, many of them, despicable human beings. Deplorables, as Hillary Clinton once said. And they duped all of you. How did they dupe all of you? If you listen to Donald, thousands of people here, it's filled to capacity, thousands of people outside waiting in line. Why did they choose such a small venue? Yes, I've been there before. The Big League Dream Sports Park. I've been there before. They had it in a venue that only holds a few thousand people, and I don't even think there were a few thousand people that were there. There was a single line filing outside, and they did that on purpose, and the excuse Trump will make is, we were at capacity. The Secret Service told them they couldn't come in, not because the room was filled to capacity either. That's a lie. They did it on purpose, and they held it in a very small venue so they could brag to everybody that we were sold out, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we couldn't let into this arena. That was a lie. And they did it for a reason. And trust me, I live in Las Vegas. We're not in the middle of nowhere. There are 20 or 30 different venues where they could have held 10,000 people and held that event. They decided not to do that. So the idea, and mark my words, by the way, if Joe Biden held a rally, and by the way, he doesn't have, I guess for lack of a better term, cultists that follow Joe Biden. But if Joe Biden or a former president like Bill Clinton or George W. Bush held a rally there, they would have had just as many people. There's no question. But just because there's a few more cultists or, a few more Klansmen that show up at his meetings, ignorant, uneducated fools, so what? So what? So I want to hear from you. What do you make of these rallies that Donald Trump is currently holding? Not just in Las Vegas, but across the country. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on these rallies? Do you disagree with me? And do you think, boy, the turnout's unbelievable, that these are hardworking, middle-class Americans that do believe that Donald Trump is out because he cares about them? Or do you agree with me that this is a cultist following of a bunch of MAGA, uneducated white people that are just complete and utter fools that drink the Kool-Aid and listen and hang to every word that Donald Trump says? He didn't say, by the way, he didn't mention E. Jean Carroll. Maybe he's finally lost his lesson. But he talks about everything else, how Joe Biden's in the bunker. He talks about Joe Biden's cognitive difficulties. He attacks those that are illegal in this country. He's going to deport everybody. It's the same speech that he makes over and over and over and over again. So I'll open up the phone lines at 702-221-7283. And that number, if you want to be a part of the program, is 702-221-SAVE. And before we go to break, programming note for you. We're going to have a lady joining us on the show on Thursday. She went to jail for being a January 6th insurrectionist, and now she's speaking out against Donald Trump. She's going to be joining us on Thursday. Tomorrow, we actually have a Democrat, a former mayor here in town, who now has turned to being a Republican. So we're going to be talking to him about that. And then later on in the week, we're going to have someone who's the director of the Hispanics for Donald Trump. So we got some great guests lined up for you for later on in the week. But we're going to take your phone calls now. Your thoughts on the cultist Klan rally that I would call, as characterizing it Saturday in Las Vegas. Donald Trump holding a rally in Las Vegas, duping all of you into thinking that it was filled to capacity and sold out, and there were thousands and thousands of people waiting to get in. That's a lie, and he duped you, and he picked a really small venue to do so. Number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the program, 702-221-SAVE. We'll take a quick break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits, the fastest growing radio show in the Valley. And now we've expanded our reach to include live stream ads on social media with over 20,000 daily views. So are you ready to take your business to the next level? Then get in on the action. Our team will put together the right ad package for you that meets your business needs. So what are you waiting for? Send us an email, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com. and reach your target audience while maximizing the advertising impact of your business. That email again, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Broadcasting, of course, the FMAM dial, my social medias as well, at PTL Radio Show, the Occupy Democrats Network. Appreciate all of you joining us. We're talking about Donald Trump's, what I characterize as a Klan rally in Las Vegas over the weekend with a bunch of idiots. Yeah, just a bunch of dumbasses. If you're that much of an idiot that you would camp out the night before to listen to Trump, that bumbling fool, speak for an hour, the same speech over and over and over again, then I think you're an idiot. Just like I think 60% of the Republican Party, bunch of idiots that think Donald Trump still won the 2020 election. What do you want me to say? You want me to sit here and say, well, you know what? Maybe they're just misinformed. No, they're idiots. Your thoughts on that? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Caesar. Caesar is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Caesar.
Oh, hi, Brian. Chapito, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Caesar?
No, I watch you every time on my work time at this time.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Anything else? Caesar, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing is, like when he's saying, like, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think I'm watching at the same time and talking. Maybe I don't know how I can do, but anyway.
Okay.
All right. Okay. The thing is, when Trump talking about when the rally people talking, he said they're going after you. So it's kind of like trying to make it like a revolution or something.
Right. I mean, I don't feel that way, Caesar. I don't feel like they're
okay.
When he says they're going after me, I don't have the DOJ going after me. I don't have to pay a woman $80 million because she says I sexually assaulted her. I'm not a liable rapist. I'm not facing 91 felony counts. This is Donald Trump's own doing. Don't break the law and don't put yourself in this situation. So that's what he does. He's a little bitch that always plays the victim. That's who Donald Trump is. He wants to play the victim. I'm the victim. They're all going after me. I'm the victim. He's never taken responsibility for anything in his entire life, and that's certainly not going to change anytime soon. Caesar, I appreciate the phone call, my friend. I'm going to move on to some other calls, but I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Caesar.
doing a good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in, Caesar. Appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Oh, boy. Here comes it's always an interesting call with my MAGA supporters who call into the show. Let's now go to Julie, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. I call you because you are always saying that Mexico never paid for the wall.
They didn't.
Well, there is different. Okay. Directly, no, but indirectly, yes, they pay for the wall.
No, Julie. They did not pay for the wall. There is no direct or indirect. Donald,
yes,
they did not pay for the wall.
If you read the NAFTA agreement, that's enough to pay for the wall.
Julie,
not only that,
Julie,
Mexico. Let me finish my statement because you never allow me to speak.
Julie, you start off a sentence.
Like, you censor people.
Julie,
you censor people.
Julie, I don't censor.
You are not prepared to be on a show if you don't allow people to speak, Brian.
Julie, here's the difference, and I want you to listen now. By the way, I find it very rich that you say I censor people when you call into the show and watch the show every day. And I take Julie, you're interrupting. Julie, you're interrupting me now.
Speak.
Julie, you're not letting me speak now. Julie, please don't censor me and allow the host to speak. Thank you. So, Julie, here's the thing, right? If you listen to conservative talk radio, which I would imagine you probably do, that's probably all you listen to, they'll let anybody call in.
Now you're assuming.
Okay, so I'm sure you don't listen to conservative talk radio. I'm sure you don't, Julie. But the point I'm trying to make here is this, and this is what separates a show like this from a lot of the shows that you probably listen to, I would venture to guess. When somebody starts off something by saying, Donald Trump is a great president, okay, tell me why. That's an opinion. When you start off a call and you say something that is not true, like Mexico paid for the wall indirectly, that is a lie, and I'm not going to let you continue to spew lies. Like if somebody calls into this show and says Donald Trump won the 2020 election, on conservative radio stations, many of those hosts, if not all of them, will let them spew their lies and stupid rhetoric. That's not what I do on this show. I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and you saying I'm censoring people is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life, because you're talking now, and you're trying to censor me, Julie. Please don't censor me. I let you call into the show every day. I'm waiting for the day that you call into the show and you actually say something that makes sense. Mexico did not pay for the wall. We are going to switch topics now. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
Oh, yes. Donald Trump built 500 miles of the wall.
16% of the wall he built. 16%.
Okay, but that's enough of the wall. Okay.
What do you mean that's enough?
That is
he
protected.
built 16% of the wall.
But let me speak. But you don't let me. You don't allow me to speak.
Okay, you're talking about how many miles Donald Trump built.
Let me speak.
He built 16%.
The Border Patrol agents said that the border wall system, along with personnel and technology, made the job easier to stop illegal immigration, drugs, human smuggling from crossing our border between the ports of entry. And the Trump administration goal was to build 500 miles of the new wall, which your beautiful and incompetent president stopped on day one.
Okay, so again, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. First of all, Donald Trump built 16. Excuse me, Julie, you're censoring me. Julie, you're censoring me. I just let you talk. I didn't interrupt you, even though I disagreed with every word you just said. Please don't censor me and interrupt me, Julie. Please don't censor me. Donald Trump built 16% of the wall. Okay, that's what he built, and now there's a plan that's put at the table that Democrats have proposed with some Republicans to put more money and allocate more funds for more border security at the wall. And the man who you support, Cheeto Jesus, by the way, is the one who told House Republicans to not allow this bill to go forward, not because Donald Trump doesn't like the bill, not because House Republicans don't like the bill, even though they'll lie and go on Fox News and say they don't like it, because Donald Trump doesn't want Joe Biden to succeed. Donald Trump doesn't want there to be a good economy. He's even said openly that he wants the economy to crash before he gets in office. I got some bad news for Donald Trump. The economy isn't crashing. It's been going in the right direction for the last 2 years. So here we have a bill put on the table that would actually allocate more funds, more money, more border security. And Donald Trump, Joe Biden even said this morning, he will shut down the border if Republicans vote this bill in, and Republicans refuse to do so. Why is that, Julie?
Brian, do you have the bill in front of you?
I read the bill. Did you read the bill?
Yes, I told you that I read the bill. Do you have the bill in front of you? How much money is allocated? Tell me right now. How much money to Israel?
So what? Sure. Okay, so you don't. Okay, so you don't. You don't think? Can I answer? Can I answer? Can I answer? May I answer?
I want to know how much money is allocated.
Julie, you're censoring me again. You see, when you ask a question, don't keep talking. You just asked me a question. I'm going to answer your question. Please don't censor me. It sounds to me, Julie, with the tone of your voice, that you're the kind of person that would donate all your money for voter integrity into the Donald Trump campaign, but you don't think we should help Israel fight this war against Hamas. You don't think we should have given any funds to Ukraine, but you'll give all your money to the Trump administration so he can wear 5 layers of makeup and Melania Trump could have more plastic surgery. Is that true, Julie?
Why do you want to include the Ukraine-Israel money into the border wall budget?
Because it's in the hey, Julie. Because Julie, you just asked another question. Because it's in the bill. That's why. It's part of the bill. It's part of the compromise that Democrats have put to the table, and it's better than nothing. But people like you know what, Julie, I appreciate your call. I don't like it when you censor me. Have a nice day. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Deborah. Deborah is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Deborah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, Deborah. What's on your mind?
Oh, golly. I just beside myself with, I don't tolerate ignorant people real well. I never have. And I'm just can't wrap my head around that these people, no matter what he does, still stand by him. I'm just not getting that.
Well, you know what? Here's what I've always said, Deborah, and I feel your pain, by the way. I've always said I don't mind stupid people so long as they don't affect me. There's a lot of right. There's a lot of stupid people in this country. Like I drove to Target. This was probably last year, right? During Republicans are so upset that they're selling pro-LGBTQ shirts. And I'm just trying to go into Target and buy some groceries. And I have these MAGA idiots that are screaming at me and yelling at me. They're yelling, "How many booster shots did you get? Don't go in there." They're going after our kids. And I just told them to shut the F up, that you guys are a bunch of morons, and I said, "Leave me alone. You guys are an embarrassment to the country." I got in my car and I left, and I'm like, is this what America has become now, where these people have children, they have families, and they have nothing better to do than to camp out at a Trump Klan rally and listen to Trump for an hour with all of his makeup, the clown show, the circus, attacking Joe Biden and saying they're not out to get me, they're out to get you. And these people, they have nothing better to do with their time than to hang out in front of a Target. I mean, it's like, where has this country become now where there are so many dumb people in this country that have nothing better to do with their time? They're cultist Klan members is what I call them.
Yeah, well, where I live in Central Florida, so you can guess, I'm living in an area where we're inundated with ignorant people, uneducated people. People are in the 3% and the Proud Boys and all that.
Stand back and stand by. Those were the words that Donald Trump said about Proud
Yes.
Boys. That is a hate group. And Donald Trump didn't say, boy, that's a hate group. I don't want their support. He said, stand back and stand by. You know why? Because Donald Trump knows that is his base. Despicable turds, many of them who happen to be white, middle-aged men who are racist bigots. And Donald Trump doesn't want to offend them. Guess what? I can tell you right now, Joe Biden, there's a reason why he calls them deplorables. He's not afraid to offend them. He doesn't want their vote.
Well, they are.
Yeah, they really are. And I don't understand why anybody would go to a Trump rally. I really don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand. What do you expect he's going to say that he hasn't already said? Now, I don't go to a lot of political rallies to begin with anyway, right? But I'm trying to think why. They want to spot the orange turd, and they want to listen to him. I guess they want to listen to him reiterate all the bigoted stuff that he said in the past because it makes them feel good. But I can tell you right now, 99.9% of the people that were in that crowd in Vegas on Saturday were white people, and they don't represent everybody in this country. They might represent the Republican Party, but they don't represent everybody in this country.
And whatever happened to the Republican Party? I mean, I'm old enough to remember when we could actually have civil conversations.
Yeah, there are still some Republicans out there that you can, but I agree with you. I think those civil conversations have gone out the window, and it's really sad. There's more extremists on both sides, but I would say particularly a lot more on the right. And now we live in a country where you have, I'm not going to say it's half the country because it's not. I do believe MAGA supporters are the loud minority. Now, they're not the silent majority like they would like to lead you to believe. They are the loud minority. But with that being said, they're loud. And they spew their propaganda, the Mark Levins, the Sean Hannitys of the world. And I don't know why they're all so afraid of Donald Trump. I guess it's because the base of the party will turn on them in a heartbeat. But it's a sad times that we are living in right now, and I just can't imagine how you are or where you are in your life that you say, hey, I know how I'm going to spend a Saturday afternoon. Hey, let's get there really early in the morning. Let's hang out at a MAGA rally for 6 or 7 hours with all the other deplorable idiots just so we could listen to Donald Trump mumbling and bumbling and mistaking Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley's names and saying you need ID to buy bread and, making fun of Joe Biden and his cognitive difficulties. I just can't imagine what type of human being you are that you would take your entire day to do that.
I don't get it. But like I told you, we've got all these deplorables that are living here. And I'm in a group that's called the Coffee Coalition. And it's a bunch of citizens that if there needs to be a demonstration on something, we demonstrated for the women's right to choose and usually that kind of thing. And we're loud and we're noisy and we write letters to the editor. So if you're ever around Citrus County, look us up. We'd love to have you.
I'm glad. I appreciate that. I'm going to say this in closing before I let you go, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. I think Joe Biden needs to be more aggressive. His entire administration needs to be more aggressive. You have a man trying to become president who has to pay a woman $80 million for sexually abusing her. A jury awarded her over $80 million. He has 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife in court documents. You have a man that is facing 91 felony counts, some of them very serious, including possibly breaking the Espionage Act. Joe Biden needs to harp on this. We need to call out Donald Trump for who he is. That is a despicable criminal. That is exactly who he is. And Joe Biden needs to start now. He needs to be aggressive and talk about all the horrible things that Donald Trump has said, the horrible things he's done in his life, and let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about the fact that inflation has gone down from 9% to under 4%. Let's talk about the lowest unemployment in over 50 years. Let's talk about gas prices plunging downward. Let's talk about wage gain. Let's talk about all these things that Joe Biden has accomplished, including the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Let's talk about how our brave men and women in uniform now have proper health care, many of them, because of Joe Biden and Jon Stewart. Let's talk about lowering the cost of insulin, which Joe Biden has been able to do and Donald Trump was unable to do. Let's talk about all the accomplishments and what a despicable person Donald Trump is to middle America and those that might still be on the fence, because I don't think they're going to be voting for Donald Trump come November. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. I've been so frustrated that he hasn't really, Biden hasn't gone out there and really started verbally punching. I think yesterday he did a speech where, I actually saw him look really angry, and I want to see more of that.
He should be. We should be angry. We should be angry at the idiots in this country that politicized COVID. We should be angry at the conservatives that are on talk radio every day that spew hatred, bigotry, and propaganda. We should be angry. I'm angry. People tell me, Brian, you sound really angry sometimes on the radio. Guess what? Because I am. I'm angry at how many stupid people in this country would still vote for Donald Trump tomorrow. I'm angry. I know a lot of people don't like Joe Biden. I get it. A lot of people are Republicans. I get that. But how can you camp out for hours to listen to this despicable rapist speak at a rally? I don't understand.
It blows my mind. It just makes me crazy. I just can't get my head around it.
Debbie, as you can tell, it makes me a little crazy too. I appreciate the call. Thanks for calling in, Deborah. I appreciate you, and be well out there in Florida, okay? Thank you for the phone call. We appreciate you. Thank you. 702-221-7283, and again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation. What are we talking about? We're talking about Donald Trump's little visit to Las Vegas over the weekend. He held a Klan rally, yes, minus the white hoods, overwhelmingly white crowd. Some traveled hours to see Donald Trump speak. Some camped out the night before like it was Woodstock to see Donald Trump speak. Some people were not allowed in, not because they were at capacity, but because maybe they don't support Donald Trump. Maybe they caucused for Ron DeSantis. Maybe they support Nikki Haley, because that's what these Trump people do. They want to use what little authority they have. Oh, you don't support Donald Trump? Oh, we don't want you here. Oh, you're supporting Nikki Haley? We don't want you here. Well, let me tell you something. That is a strategic mistake besides being despicable. Here's why. If Donald Trump loses in November, which I believe he does, at least I hope he does, if he loses in November, if he loses those Nikki Haley voters, if he loses those Ron DeSantis voters, or maybe they don't vote at all, he has nobody to blame but himself. It's why Kari Lake lost in Arizona. A lot of John McCain Republicans in Arizona. She went after them. She humiliated them. And guess what? They didn't vote for Kari Lake. Now, she'll never admit to that, but that's the truth. All right, let's take some more phone calls. 702-221-7283. And if you'd like to be a part of the program, again, 702-221-SAVE. Let's now go to Carl, who's next up on Pushing Limits. What's up, Carl?
Yeah, what's up, Brian? Listen, I want to, the network Newsmax, correct?
Yeah,
That's
saying
honest,
a network, a news
that
network.
honest,
I wouldn't
that honest one to pull.
They're an embarrassment.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I want to tell you something. Listen to this. I watched something, and psychologically, I put this together. Every Sunday night, for months already, they show the rise of Hitler. Every Sunday night. You watch it after like 10, 11 o'clock, almost every Sunday night. And they show him rising from nothing to becoming chancellor, to becoming the dictator, the Fuhrer, and whatever. And all during this part, you watch him as he's making his speeches. He furrows his brow. He gets that insane eye look. Like, I wonder who had pictures taken like that, who look exactly like him. Have you noticed how he furrows his brow, and when Trump showed up in courts, when we put that picture, he's got the same look.
Yeah.
If you watch the series, you'll see Hitler has the same exact look.
I'll be honest, I've never felt comfortable comparing Adolf Hitler to Donald Trump or anybody in this country, but I am comfortable calling Donald Trump a despicable bigot and a racist.
The reason to compare him with it, I'm not comparing him as far as being that same person or a person like him, but he's using the same tactics to keep himself
he definitely uses
in
the
office.
same. He definitely uses the same tactics that Vladimir Putin uses. It's why you've never heard him speak negatively about the evil, murderous dictator Vladimir Putin or writing love letters to Kim Jong-un. And can you imagine when Barack Obama was president, if he told America that he was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un? I mean, I know that Otto Warmbier's mother has done some interviews, and she said how disgusted she is when she hears Donald Trump taking the word of Kim Jong-un when we know that Otto Warmbier was murdered by that evil, murderous regime. It's because I think Donald Trump admires people like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. And, you know, if you want to have a substance, any type of conversation of substance with a MAGA supporter, let's just talk about their records. Let's talk about Donald Trump during COVID. Let's talk about how Donald Trump reacted to COVID and how he held his press conferences that turned into campaign rallies. He said 15 cases down to 0. It's going to end by Easter. Donald Trump is responsible, in my opinion, for hundreds of thousands of lives. And Joe Biden takes office. And when you look at the economy where it is now compared to what it was 3 years ago, it's night and day. Are things perfect now? Absolutely not. I'm not claiming that it was. But that was the economy that Joe Biden left for, that Donald Trump left for Joe Biden. And, people forget.
Don't get me wrong, but the only reason I brought this Hitler thing into it, I just want to bring in the idea of all dictators use the same exact tactics in holding themselves in office and building up a cult and building up a base.
That's what it was.
What they do.
I have friends of mine that went to this Donald Trump rally in Las Vegas over the weekend. This is absolutely a cult. These are a cult of uneducated people. Am I saying every single person there is uneducated? No. Am I saying every single person that goes to a Trump rally is a racist? No. But I believe as a whole, that's who the MAGA base are. That's who these people are. They are despicable human beings. They are people that are uneducated with no lives, that don't understand basic economics. They want to blame Joe Biden for gas prices. They want to blame Joe Biden for inflation. They want to blame Joe Biden for every war out there when they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. When their orange turd hero, a settlement, or I shouldn't even say a settlement, but a judgment where Trump has to pay this woman over $80 million for what the judge characterized as rape, and I would tend to agree with him. It's always this woman is a liar. She can't be telling the truth. Their man can do no wrong.
Well, if you get a chance, see that series that Newsmax has on, because, they love Newsmax, they love Trump, and they show this because it shows how somebody can come from nothing and use these same political tactics and talking points and the expressions. Watch it if you get a chance.
I will.
And you'll see the same expressions between both of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. And you'll see that's how they hold these people. And the expressions on the faces of the people in the audience.
You're right, Carl. I know. I'm with you 100%, my man. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you so much. Somebody on social media just put out there, "Make America Great Again" is "Make America White Again." I actually tend to agree with that statement. I think that's what Donald, or "Make America Orange Again." I don't know. Depends which way you look at it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Obi, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Obi.
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's on your mind, my man?
Okay. You know what I like about your show, your program?
What's that?
That you don't let him. You see all these the Jordans, the Getz, the Graham.
Yeah.
They go to CNN and they bash Dana Bash and they bash Jay Topper. You don't allow this, and I love this. But
I try
I
not
don't want to
to.
make no. I'm going to make only one comment, Brian. Let me finish.
Sure.
Do you remember what P.T. Barnum said? Because Donald Trump is an alumni of P.T. Barnum. And P.T. Barnum said, a fool is born every minute.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this in Spanish because I know what's her name, Julie, is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Un idiota nace cada minuto. This is the MAGA, okay? Take care.
I agree. Thank you for the call, Obi. Ladies and gentlemen, I just don't understand where we're at as a country. It's okay if you don't like Joe Biden. I tend to like him personally. I think he's a decent human being. But if you don't like the policies of Democrats, then why don't you come to the table and tell me what your answer is to our border? Why don't you tell me what your answer is to all the gun violence in this country and health care and, raising minimum wage? It just seems like, at least in my personal opinion, that Republicans don't have any answers. They don't have any solutions. And when I see this group of deplorables, and that's what they are, if you don't like it, I really don't care, a group of idiots, a group of uneducated fools, the overwhelming majority, that are watching Donald Trump speak across the country in their bigotry and their hatred, I see a part of America that I'm embarrassed of. I see a part of this country that I'm ashamed of. I see a part of this nation, and the reason why so many minorities, including white people, went across the country and protest in the Black Lives Matter protest. And Republicans will never admit that the overwhelming majority of those people were not violent. There were agitators and there were people that broke the law and did some terrible things, which I would never condone. But the overwhelming majority of those people wanted equality. Do you think you would ever see a MAGA supporter at a rally wanting equality? Doesn't even have to be a Black Lives Matter protest. Could be a gay pride rally. An anti-bigot party is what I would call it. No, there's a better chance you'll see them at a Klan rally. Because I agree. It's not make America great again. It's make America white again. How many minorities were in Donald Trump's administration? How many minorities are within the Republican Party? Sure, you got a couple idiots like Tim Scott and Byron Donalds who have sold their soul. But why are all the minorities and so many women of color in the Democrat Party and not the Republican Party? Somebody please answer that for me. I would love to know. Now, I think I know the answer to that. Why is that? Why are there so few, and why were there so many few minorities? It was the whitest administration in the history of this country, Donald Trump's administration. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Roy. You there?
Hi, Brian. How
Hi,
are
Roy.
you?
Good. What's on your mind, Roy?
I like how he talks about America first, and he comes out and says he doesn't want a border deal. He wants the economy to crash, all for his benefit when he gets into office.
Yep.
And how people don't realize this man just got hit for an $83.3 million hit.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. And what boggles my mind the most is these morons like Cruz and Rubio and Elise Stefanik and Tim Scott and all these people who have, like you said, sold their souls for this piece of garbage.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling that it's come to in this country.
Well, I'll tell you what, Roy, I agree. It is mind-boggling, but I'll tell you what, I give Donald Trump credit for at least one thing. He exposed how stupid people are in this country. Donald Trump, I give him credit. He showed to the world how dumb so many people are in this country. He really did, because these dumb people are out in the woodworks. I mean, how many Rhodes Scholars, how many really, really, really intelligent people, if they're not out to make money on social media or they have a show or whatever, how many really intelligent Rhodes Scholars are showing up to these MAGA events, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure you can count them on your thumb.
Yeah.
But it really is boggling. I mean, you know what part of the problem is? Part of it's got to be education. When I was down in Myrtle Beach on vacation a couple of years ago, and this guy thanked me for paying the sales tax, and he said they increased their sales tax, and he got a cut in his real estate tax. So I said, well, how much do you pay in real estate tax now? He goes, $400. I go, well, which I only paid $400 a month. He said, no, it's $400 a year.
Oh, wow.
So obviously a lot of money in some of these states is certainly not going to education.
No, it's not. You're right. That's certainly an issue as well. And
you made a comment before. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
Do you know what the federal minimum wage is in this country?
What's the average? Tell me.
It's not the average. The federal minimum wage is a little over $7 an hour.
That's pathetic. That's pathetic.
So I don't want to hear about the economy. You're keeping you're keeping these poorer people down through no education,
right,
and no salary.
And you know what? It's not the Republican Party that has been trying to raise minimum wage, and it's not just I almost said Bernie Sanders, that is trying to raise minimum wage. Just about overwhelmingly, the entire Democrat Party is trying to pass bills in different states to raise minimum wage, and guess who's shooting it down with their AR-15s? The Republican Party. I mean, that's just the fact.
Yeah, well, that's another topic as far as these AR-15s go. Yeah. I really don't understand the logic. Look, people want to hunt. You don't hunt with an AR-15, okay? Yeah. Hunting, having a gun, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But who the hell needs an AR-15? For what purpose?
Well, Republicans really don't want to have these types of discussions, and they'll tell you that an AR-15 is not an assault weapon. But if you talk to most reasonable Americans in this country, and I tend to do that on a regular basis, they want to talk about several different issues. They want to talk about their health care. They want to talk about, living paycheck to paycheck. How could things get easier for them and their family? They want to talk about equality. They want to be able to live their lives and provide for their families. Those are the issues that most Americans are concerned about and want to talk about. And if you listen to MAGA World and Orange Turd, he doesn't really talk about any of those issues. The only issues he wants to talk about is getting out every single illegal in this country, every undocumented person in this country, deport everybody, make America great again, make America white again. I mean, this is the type of stuff that Trump talks about, and he'll just insult people and come up with nicknames for people. We're talking about the presidency here, and it's beneath the presidency to talk like that, yet he does on a regular basis.
Well, at least Nikki Haley is staying in the race. I'm not a Nikki Haley fan, but the longer she stays in the race, the better chance it'll give him a stroke. So with that...
Well, I'll leave that one alone, but I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care. You too. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. What we saw, or at least what I saw, in Vegas over the weekend on Saturday is exactly what we're seeing across the country. What do I mean by that? It is a cult. And we're seeing MAGA cultists throughout the country. Brian, it's not a cult. Okay, well, let me ask you a question then. Have you seen any malarkey signs on the back of pickup trucks? Have you seen any Joe Biden signs in the front of homes? I see them here in Vegas, next to their Confederate flags. Do you see that type of stuff happening in this country on the left when it comes to Joe Biden? No. I'd like to think a large amount of people, not all, but I'd like to think that a large amount of people that voted for Joe Biden, like myself, back in 2020, it was more of an anti-Donald Trump vote. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people like me that will be doing the same come November. I will not blink an eye. Would I rather see somebody a little bit younger? Yes. Would I rather see somebody a little bit more outspoken when it comes to MAGA world? Yes. But I will not blink an eye. And the excuse of, I just like some of Donald Trump's policies. And that's why I'm going to vote. That doesn't hold any water anymore. What is it? I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It's not an excuse that you can use anymore. it's nullified with what Joe Biden has been able to do when it comes to inflation, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to gas prices. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Now let's go to Tyrone, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Tyrone.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, my friend. What's on your mind?
Well, I was listening to you, and I was saying, we're talking about a lot of things concerning former President Trump, but we haven't even begun to examine the financial cost of Donald Trump. In 4 years, he added $8 trillion.
And you know who pointed that out accurately? I'll give her credit, Nikki Haley on a debate stage.
Yeah, but you don't hear that. How did you add $8 trillion to a deficit in 4 years?
Yeah.
And no one sees nothing wrong with that. Or the ones who should see something wrong with it, now that a Democrat is in office, is saying that we've got to address the deficit.
Well, they're hypocrites. They're hypocrites. I use that word all the time. They talk about Barack Obama, look at the debt he got us into, and they'll talk about Joe Biden, but they won't talk about their orange man. They won't talk about the debt that Republicans get us into. They won't talk about the spending bills that are put forth where Democrats 30 to 40% decrease than what Republicans propose, but they don't want to talk about that. They're supposed to be fiscally conservative. That's what they call themselves. They're not fiscally conservative. They want to call themselves the Law and Order Party. Their guy is going to be a convicted felon, the face of the party. They're not the Law and Order Party. They're not the party of God, and they're certainly not the party of fiscal responsibility, and they prove it every day.
Okay. And, he said some things when he first came on the scene, and looking back, it just makes me say, wow. He said, we love the uneducated.
Yeah.
We love them.
Yeah, I bet he
and
does.
I was like,
yeah.
What is she saying? And now that you look back, you see that I don't want those who will think for themselves. I don't want to be associated with forward thinkers.
Right.
I want followers. I want followers. Just believe what I say. Uneducated.
Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you, it's getting harder and harder for me to have conversations with MAGA supporters. I try, but it's getting harder every day for me. I can try, and if they're respectful, we can have good conversations. It's very fair to criticize Joe Biden. I don't have a problem with that. But don't tell me that Donald Trump cares about America. Don't tell me that Donald Trump cares about you and I. The only person who Donald Trump cares about is himself. I mean, we got to start there.
Yeah, but he also stated that I can shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue.
Correct. Yep.
And I can lose the vote.
Yeah.
Wow, what a statement to say. But now that you look back over the years and you say, wow, what was he? Did he know something we didn't know?
Well, I think it's one of the most honest. It's probably one of the only honest things that Donald Trump has said in the last 10 years, quite frankly. And he was absolutely right. And that is what is called a cult. When people say, Brian, it's not a cult. Yes, it is. Just look at the events that he's holding. Look at these disgusting human beings that are, that they parade around in their Confederate flags, and they don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think every Donald Trump supporter is like that, but this is the base of Donald Trump supporters. I don't think there's any question about that.
But those who are, I guess you could say, clear-headed,
yeah,
and have sat down and really evaluated the landscape,
yeah,
this is what you have to remember, and it'll get rid of that migraine you having. I spoke with an individual one time who was a Trump supporter, and I started giving him factual, derogatives, and negative things about Donald Trump. And he said, you know what? All that is right. He said, I can't even begin to defend any of that.
Right.
He said, but this is what you need to remember. He said, if I don't support him, then I got to support you.
Right.
And before I'll support you, I don't care what he do. I'm going to support him.
Well, there are people out there that have absolutely no problem supporting a liable rapist who's facing 91 felony counts. And as Hillary Clinton said, those are deplorables, ladies and gentlemen. But I'd have to think there are more reasonable human beings out there with a moral compass like you and I, sir, that will not be voting for Donald Trump. And that's why I believe Joe Biden's going to win re-election. I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the phone call. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're going to do. Unlike Donald Trump, I support our veterans, our brave men and women in uniform. I talk about it every day on the show. I've done some events here raising money for veterans. Those are the people that I enjoy talking to. And the guy that we're going to have in studio next, he's running for office as a Democrat. He served in the Nevada National Guard, and he continues to serve. And I have the utmost respect for him and his service to this great nation. We're going to get his thoughts on this and much more. His name is Hunter Cain, and he's going to be joining us. Not to be confused with the late Herman Cain. I just want to be clear on that. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be speaking with him coming up next. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here, ladies and gentlemen, on KSHP.
Shapiro from Pushing the Limits, the fastest growing radio show in the Valley. And now we've expanded our reach to include live stream ads on social media with over 20,000 daily views. So are you ready to take your business to the next level? Then get in on the action. Our team will put together the right ad package for you that meets your business needs. So what are you waiting for? Send us an email, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com, and reach your target audience while maximizing the advertising impact of your business. That email again, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Quick programming note for you. Former North Las Vegas Mayor used to be a Democrat. He's turned Republican. John Lee is going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. We have a lady joining us on the show Thursday who went to jail for the January 6th insurrection. She went to prison for like 6 months, and now she's speaking out against Donald Trump. She's going to be joining us on Thursday. And we have one of the directors of Hispanics for Donald Trump joining us Wednesday. So, oh boy, that's going to be a fiery conversation. I know that for sure. Also, I remind all of you watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, and we're getting more and more views every day. I appreciate all of you. Like 40 or 50,000 views a day now. I ask you to click on that subscribe button on the Occupy Democrats page. It's only $5 a month, cup of coffee, and you get extra content from yours truly. And, of course, my socials, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, X, whatever it's called now, at PTL Radio Show. I also love talking to those who serve this country honorably, no matter what you ever did. And the guy certainly we have with us in studio is no exception. He's running for Clark County Commissioner, District C, running as a Democrat. He's certainly dedicated a big portions of his life to public service and helping the community. And Hunter joins us right now in studio. And I will not call you Herman Cain. I almost did that. Hunter, when we were taking a break. But anyway, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And let me just say, actually, I've been called Herman Cain's son before. So it wouldn't be the
I don't
first
think
time.
that's a good thing.
It's not a
you
good
probably
thing.
have a lot of money and you're good at making pizza or owning pizza chains. But
between him and I can tell you I know how to take vaccines. So.
That's good. That's good. We were just talking about that, actually. Donald Trump was just in town Saturday. Obviously, let me ask you this to start. Do you believe it's a cult? A lot of these people that are MAGA Trump supporters, do you believe it's a cult?
You know, I kind of feel like at this point, yes. I know quite a few Republican friends that are out there that, like him over the other choice. And there's a difference between, hey, I like Trump over Biden versus, I want pictures of him and I believe everything he says and, I'm going to literally salivate over the mere mention of him. I think you're getting a little bit more into cult there, or fanatical at least.
You might be the perfect person to ask this question because I don't even know how to respond to some of these people. But there are some people, not many, but there are some minorities in this country that say, Donald Trump has done more for black people than Obama ever did. How do you even respond to that?
It's craziness. So you can't really respond to it. I mean, he's the same one who's called African nations. I'm not sure if I can say the words on here, but that's what it's.
Nations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coming on here, he's the same one who's insulted our civil rights leaders. He's the same one who's, done a lot of things to push us backwards in time. If anything, if it was up to him, black people would be put back in their place, which is, as lower class citizens to, others.
And I agree with you. And there's some people on social media that have said it's not make America great again, it's make America white again.
That's what it has to be. I mean, if you think about it, especially for black people, when was America ever great?
It's such a good point you bring up. What do you make of Nikki Haley, who was asked about the Civil War and why it happened? And obviously anybody with a first grade level of understanding of history would say, well, obviously slavery, right? What do you make of the fact that she doesn't even mention slavery and then plays like the victim card? Oh, that was a Joe Biden operative that asked that question. I'm like, what?
Well, this is actually something that's been going on for a few years now, and I don't know how to reverse it. I mean, it's kind of like if you think about even when it comes to education, they want to whitewash a lot of our own history. I remember hearing a comment from someone saying that they thought, we should talk about the Civil War, or I'm sorry, the slavery with the good benefits to the black people community also. And it's just kind of like, what good benefits?
Mm-hmm.
We absolutely did do everything possible to avoid, I guess you could say, a lot of this whitewashing, but it's happening. So when Nikki Haley's coming on saying, hey, it wasn't about the civil, or it wasn't about black people, then what specifically is it about? If literally Nevada, the state that we're in, was born out of this. We're battle-born specifically because of this.
You're, fair to say, lifelong Democrat?
Actually, no.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a lifelong nonpartisan, and then I met this, crazy little Jewish guy in 2016.
Wait, not me. Okay.
No. Bernie Sanders, and I fell in love with Bernie.
You met Bernie Sanders?
I met him. He was the very first politician I've given money to, that I knocked doors to.
Really?
He just really inspired me to get involved, and I switched over to Democrat to literally be able to run for him.
I didn't know that about you. Bernie Sanders is a really good man.
He's a really great
And
guy.
I look at him, and I know that when I hear Bernie Sanders talk, I might not agree with everything, but when I hear him talk, I believe Bernie cares about people. He cares about this country. He wants equality. He wants equality, financially. He wants everyone to be able to live their life. And when I hear some, not all, But when I hear some Republicans talk about the economy, I cringe because I believe they want to score political points. And I say to myself, what have you done to help the economy? Besides giving tax breaks to the top 1%, which is really the main bill that Trump passed in his time in office, is giving tax breaks to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. What has the Republican Party done to help middle-class America? I don't have an answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
I've actually challenged a few of my Republican friends
Yeah.
with that exact same question.
Really?
So I've asked them before where I've said, hey, tell me one good thing that Trump has done for you personally. And then I will reconsider voting for him right now. Just one. And they always kind of struggle. They're like, well, the stock market was great. I'm like, oh, do you play the stock market? Well, no, I don't. But, I'm like, oh, okay, well, is housing better for you? No. Okay, is this? And we kind of go through a litany of different things. And I'm like, well, now, while you may not be in love with the Democrats or what Joe Biden's doing, I can point to different things that have directly affected me and my household. Mm-hmm. So one great example is, as you know, and as your listeners are about to hear, I'm also a foster parent.
Yes.
So I fostered 35 youth coming through here. And one of the things that I hated, about the Trump regime was that they wanted to get rid of all benefits for foster parents nationwide. And I think that's a little bit crazy versus the Democrats.
Why would they want to do that? And they want to get rid of abortion. I don't understand. They're such hypocrites.
I've absolutely turned around and thought about this before. So it's like, when we talk about the abortion debate, I try not to say pro any type of thing, although I am absolutely 100% it's a woman's right to choose.
Right. We agree on that. Yep.
100% woman's right to choose. But it's kind of like when people talk about how many babies we're saving, I'm like, we have 3,400 youth in our foster care system. We have 18,000 nationwide that are aging out every year. So it's kind of like, why is it that we only care about, the fetus to birth, and then we forget about them from birth to 18, and kind of forget about them until their old age?
You're so right.
And so it's kind of like, if you care about abortion, which, absolutely everyone should, at the same time, let's care about the kids, what happens to them afterwards.
And there are a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, because 6 out of 10 Americans, Republican and Democrat, share what we share in that woman right to choose. Here's what I really don't like when it comes to this issue. I hate the fact that some Republicans make it out like we're celebrating when a woman gets an abortion. And I've never been like that. I know you're not like, it's a very personal, difficult choice that a woman has to make. I don't wish that upon anybody, but it's, you know what? It's their choice.
Yes.
And why is it that Republicans want to talk about, we don't want government control. Oh, but when it comes to the vaccines, yes, we want government control. Or when it comes to abortion, we want government control. It's like, I just think the hypocrisy is just endless.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Because I've actually said the exact same thing too, where it's just like, so it's your body, your choice when it comes to vaccines, but it's not a woman's body or her choice when it comes to a baby.
They call it murder.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, I'm not for late-term abortions unless it's the health of the mother. And I think most people in this country would agree with that. But who am I to tell? God forbid, and I wish this didn't happen in this country, but as you know, it does, where there's a horrible sexual assault that takes place.
Yeah.
And let's just, not that it matters the age, but let's just say it's a really young girl, could be a 13-year-old girl, and she's the victim of a horrible sexual assault, and it's terrible. And then you want the government or Republicans to force you to have what would be labeled as a rape baby. I just can't even fathom that there are people out there that think that way.
So let me look at it on the other side of it too. So yes, that debate is a very popular one, but again, I'm going with, because I'm so deeply involved in our foster care world, I care about what happens then. So is that going to be a young baby child that the parent's going to love, want to take care of?
Yeah.
Is it going to be one that a foster home is going to want to easily bring in? Is it going to be, so it's kind of like, now you're talking about a rapist baby that may have, sexually transmitted diseases, or it could have drugs, involved. It could have a litness of different type of things. And now you're saying, let's just give it to the government to take care of.
Right.
Because it's not going to be something that parent's going to want to take care of.
Right. And I do find it, you've been so active, within the community. And how many kids have you fostered in your life?
So I have fostered a total of 36, and
Wow.
I became a permanent parent to 11 of them.
How about that?
So-
Amen to you, brother. I couldn't even. I don't even know how you're even able. That's unbelievable.
Our
Kudos to you.
Christmases can be a little crazy. I will tell you that.
Okay, so God bless you for doing that, by the way. So when we talk about this issue, and a Republican might have a conversation with you and be, I don't like to use the term pro-life either, by the way, because they're not, many of these Republicans are not pro-life because they're against so many government programs to help that woman raise that child.
Yes.
But they come up to you and they say that, and then, I would ask them, oh, really, how many children have you adopted? Usually the answer is 0. Are these the type of people that we want to have conversations with?
Exactly.
Somebody like you who's taken it in your own hands, literally 26. That's unbelievable. And they're
36.
36. Even more unbelievable. And these are so many people out there that they haven't adopted any children. They haven't been active in doing that. There's hundreds of
They've never
thousands.
been a big brother, big sister. They've
Right.
never been a CASA. They've never been. There's a million different programs for any person who's not ready to be a foster parent to be able to go in and do.
Yeah.
And I think the only people that should be in this debate and conversation are those that are actively doing that right now.
I want to talk to you about local politics, but before
Okay.
I do that, I want to ask you a few more national questions.
Please.
First of all, you served this country honorably. Thank you for your service.
I did,
Awesome. When you hear those in the Republican Party going back to Donald Trump, as someone who served, in regards to John McCain saying he didn't respect him because he was captured, how, I know you don't support Trump, how can a service member hate Joe Biden that much and hate Democrats that much that you would vote for the guy that is, for lack of a better term, crapped on members of our military, called them losers and suckers? I don't respect him because he was captured. I don't know how, and who dodged the military, by the way, too.
Yeah.
How can you vote for somebody like that?
So, and this is when going back to your original question on is it a cult? I think that answer kind of answers it in this now. Anyone who has served, in my opinion, who followed Donald Trump, there are no benefits that are given to the active duty and or veterans that could counteract what he actually thinks, feels, and believes. So we can go through all the different things. When it comes to LGBTQ rights, Donald Trump's against it. In the military, this is a non-issue. Even during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which is my era, there were plenty of people that were gay, lesbian, bisexual. We didn't care one way or the other. That's only being fought in Washington, not with us. When it comes to the same thing, our POWs and MIA, missing in action, are beloved within our community.
Right.
So to turn around and sit here and say you're a POW, you're a loser. You've literally just, how many Gold Star parents, Blue Star parents, are you sitting here disrespecting because of this?
And you reminded me of something, too, Hunter, that we had a guy in studio, nice guy, I respect his service. His name's Bill Conrad. He's running for senator here in Nevada. And he made the statement that he believes transgenders in the military hurt morale. And I looked at him and I said, and I couldn't believe he said that. And I said, what do you care what's between their legs if they're willing to risk their life like you did for this country and like Bill did? What do you care? And it's like, he says it's hurting morale. And I'm like, where are you getting that from? A couple crazies? Like, where are you getting that from?
So I think that's not only just crazy, it's to a person of color, highly offensive. If you remember, this is the exact same debate they had about blacks integrating into the military.
Correct.
We can't let the black serve. It's going to hurt morale.
Right.
Okay. The military will get over it, first and foremost. We understand that we're there to fight. And die if necessary for our country. However, these people who kind of just, well, it's going to hurt. I know plenty of people that are transgender that are serving. And in fact, we're talking about shortages right now in the military. I think it's tens of thousands short across the branches.
I don't care what their sexuality is.
Who the hell cares?
If you're going to risk your life for this country like you're a hero.
I care more that are they passing the standards?
Right, of course.
Are they doing their job well?
Right.
Cool. Now,
of course.
It's kind of like these gun nuts sometimes around, and I'm a gun owner, so
I
I'm
wanted
not
to
talking
talk to you
everyone.
about that. Yep.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people who, put on the jacket and run around the, yard pretending to, care about guns, and it's just kind of like not one of you guys can qualify for the military.
Isn't it? You're absolutely right. And I talk about guns and gun control on this show all the time. As you know, we had one of the worst mass shooting in American history right in our backyard, October 1. And a lot of these Republicans want to get in the weeds with me on what an assault weapon is, and I'm not interested in doing that. What I am interested in doing is trying to figure out how we could lower the gun violence in this country. And I don't think it's arming our kindergarten teachers or locking our schools. If you want to have armed security at schools, I don't have a problem with that. But these are the types of weapons, and you served, you know a little bit about, probably more about this than I do. Why is it that in so many of these larger mass shootings, it's always an AR-15 that seems to be used?
Yeah. So first, my son and I, and actually my friends that are here with me, were actually at the UNLV shooting that just happened in December.
Oh, geez.
We were in the student union when all this craziness was going
on.
And we actually talked about this with a few other different people when it comes to assault rifles. And my only response that I would say is, cool, let's have assault rifles. However, for me as a military member, I spend the first 6 months with my assault rifle with no bullets in it, just to get used to the handle and care of it. We break it down, we learn maintenance, all these different type of things, and then this is by several hours on the range to turn around and learn how to properly do the different positions and different ways that we can attack and stuff like that. And this is all before one bullet. So I'm saying if we're going to have assault rifles, then why don't we have the same standard that the military uses? A well-regulated militia is part of our Second Amendment. And, you know, if it's good enough for the U.S. military to be able to utilize the assault rifles, why can't we say that that is the standard across the board?
I completely agree with you, and I talk about that all the time. And I come up with, at least Democrats are trying to come up with solutions. I don't hear anything from the right. But you mentioned that, and that was one of my points. You know, to drive a car, and I know driving a car is a privilege. I get that. But to drive a car, you got to get your driver's license. It means you have to have an instructor with you. You have to know how to drive the car safely, fairly safely. Even though some people in Las Vegas, I don't know how they got their driver's license, but that's another story. They check your eyesight. You have to take a written test. And I always say, why don't we require some sort of mandatory training? So if I am in an active shooter situation like you guys were, I'm sorry to hear that, at UNLV, it doesn't always have to be law enforcement. We could have a good Samaritan that is trained and properly trained how to use the gun. I also talk about red flag laws. They need to be enforced more. If you call somebody and say you're going to kill somebody, guess what? I don't want that person having a gun for at least a week until they have a psych evaluation. And I know that's a case-by-case basis. I think it should be 18 to 21. And then when the argument is, well, wait a second, military, you can be 18. I say yes, but just like what you just said, they have to be trained
So much training
on how to do that. And I think we need an assault weapons ban like we had in the early 90s, which Republicans allowed to fizzle out. If you just gave me, or if Republicans just gave me, 2 of those 4, I believe gun violence, it wouldn't, correct everything, but I believe gun violence would gradually go down. I think it would help, but it's not going to happen with Republicans and their bragging about their NRA ratings. I don't hear that from Democrats. Have you ever heard a commercial, someone running as a Democrat? I got an A+ rating from the NRA. No, it's usually they're bragging about their F- rating from the NRA, right?
It absolutely is. And, I've actually, I've worked with quite a few legislators here in the States. I used to also work for a member of Congress here in town, and one of the conversations when we're talking about that quite often is, what is it something that can get us past this gun debate and move forward? In the end, we found out that it's just the right likes to say one thing, the left likes to say one thing, and it earns dollars, so why change it? But in reality, I would like to see things just be a little bit more regulated there, and it doesn't have to be great strides.
A well-regulated militia.
Well-regulated.
Don't you find it interesting that so many Republicans want to quote the Constitution when we had muskets, but that direct quote they usually don't bring up? Well-regulated. Are we well-regulated right now when we can have an 18-year-old walk into a gun store with no training like in Uvalde and buy AR-15s and thousands of rounds of ammunition? Is that well-regulated? I don't think that's well-regulated.
It's not at all. And, I'm glad you said that, because actually with the foster youth I have, they're all higher level of care. So it's not mom and dad had a fight. It's something traumatic happened to the youth, and now the youth had to be removed from the situation. One of my kids, when he was 18 years old, I'm going to UNLV, and have my freedom away from dad. And the first thing that he wound up doing was buying an assault rifle, or a rifle that he put in his car. And when I happened to just go over there and check in on him, I went by and I was just like, holy crap. Looking into his car, I'm like, there's a gun in there. There's a felony right there. It's on school grounds. A second felony right there. It's loaded in the chamber. There's a third felony, and it's in plain view, a 4th felony. So of course I quickly grabbed the weapon, wrapped it up, put it in my car, and
good for you.
Talked to him, and eventually got rid of the weapon altogether. But it's just kind of like there's nothing to stop these 18-year-old kids. And I'm telling you, most of my kiddos have several mental health diagnoses. So they are one bad text away from, going and doing something unregrettable. And guns just make it that much more easy.
Do you believe, like I believe, that we have 140 guns per capita per 100 people in this country, and we are a country that is, in my personal opinion, obsessed with our guns? And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But again, I hear Republicans talk about mental health, and that's a very important issue.
Absolutely.
But there are mentally ill people all over the world. So why do we have this problem here? Well, I think because we have more guns than people, and we're a society that is obsessed with our guns. I think that's a big part of it, right?
That's absolutely the biggest part of it right there.
Yeah. And I just feel like nothing's going to get better. I feel like it's only going to get worse unless we do something about it. And when I say we, I'm not saying Democrats are perfect, but they've been trying to implement
something
legislation. Every single shooting
I
hear.
Have the 30 round? Can't you do with the 5 or 10? Can't you? Do you have to have the silencer? It's trying to do something,
right?
And I would love to work with any Republican that's out there for any ideas that they have to do it also, so we can hopefully avoid this toxic gun culture that we're in right
It's
now.
tough because I spoke to people out there in Uvalde. I've done plenty of interviews with people out there in Uvalde. What a tragic situation. And the day after the shooting in Uvalde, and I'm just using this as an example, I could use almost every mass shooting and take examples from those on the far right. But Ted Cruz said the back door was locked. People could look this up if they don't believe me. This 18-year-old animal just shot his grandmother in the face and then went into the school. And Ted Cruz is talking about a locked door that could have been a deterrent. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, these are lawmakers. I mean, it's embarrassing. And there are parents, and listen, we can talk about law enforcement and how they screwed up big time, and there were a lot of cowards that day. But parents were being threatened, being arrested. They wanted to save their kids who were dying in that classroom. And yet you had a bunch of police officers that were cowards. And I don't say that with any bit of, I don't enjoy saying that because I respect law enforcement. Let me ask you this. I consider myself pro-police. I like to call out, I shouldn't say I like to, but I do call out bad policing. But I'm pro-police, and I'm also pro-Black Lives Matter. I went to Black Lives Matter protests. Why can't we be both?
They're not an exclusive thing.
Right, but why can't we be both? It's one or the other in this country, it seems like, right?
Well, if you notice what the right does whenever there's any type of traction that's coming on, it's kind of like one of the things that they want to do is they want to try to divide.
Right.
So it's kind of like, if you remember when COVID first happened, it wasn't a divisive issue. And then all of a sudden, they liked what the Democrats were doing, so how can we make this a divisive issue? And it's the same thing. Black Lives Matter. It started off with, rather you talking about that or the kneeling of the football players, they're all, like, we have one direction, and then you have those on the right that says, hey, let's make this a conversation for something else. Yeah. And now the kneeling, and now Black Lives Matter, and now all of this is something completely away from what it was originally.
I don't
which
really,
is crazy.
And let me ask you this as someone who served. When these black athletes and some white athletes as well take a knee during the national anthem, I mean, I don't see it as disrespect to our flag. Do you? Because I don't.
As a United States American veteran, I absolutely do not see it disrespectful.
We have a president. We had.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not back. We had a president of the United States who called black men and women who took a knee and peacefully protest. Because that's what it was. Let's be honest. This was a peaceful protest. Sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And then when he talks about the January 6th terrorists who beat police officers, who defecated on desks, who stole property, these are domestic terrorists. He wants them out of jail and he defends them. But if you have a black athlete taking a knee during the national anthem, those are the sons of bitches. I mean, it's incredible.
This is Trump. So what does he think of black people? We're seeing it right here. We're absolutely seeing it from all of his different type of actions.
Yeah.
These are absolutely peaceful protests.
Yeah.
And, protests are supposed to be, especially the nonviolent ones, are supposed to be in places that people can view. So if Colin Kaepernick and some of these other people did it in their living room, nobody would have watched.
Right.
And then I'm going to back up and be one of those crazy out-the-wall thinkers here for a second. We didn't even put a lot of this patriotic stuff into here until DOD started paying some of the NFL, NBA, and all of them to put the national anthem, to do a recruitment poster. So it seems like they wanted to make more money. Good idea. Put it in sports. And now all of a sudden it's becoming a political issue, a few decades later. Why don't we just take it out altogether?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that would ever happen.
It won't.
I believe that these athletes have the right to do what they've done. I'm sure you agree with me, even though I'm not a huge Colin Kaepernick fan, and I think he said some dumb things in the past.
I'm not a fan of him personally. I like the mission that he was trying to do.
I think his heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
I'm willing certainly to give him that, and I think a lot of the athletes, their hearts are in the right place, and they're doing it for the greater good. I just don't like it when we talk about January 6th. I talk about January 6th, and then Republicans, many MAGA Republicans, say, well, what about all the violence in those Black Lives Matter protests? I said, first of all, nobody I know condones violence or attacking police officers, but you had one group of people, a large group of people, tens of millions across the country, that were protesting, for the most part, for equality. And then you had a group of people in Washington, D.C. that were protesting based on a lie that the election was stolen. One has nothing to do with the other.
And if we're getting into the grass of things when we're talking about like the Black Lives Matter, it's kind of like, I'll be honest, in every group you're going to have the radical side and you're going to have the peaceful side. I mean, MLK wouldn't have been that great if he didn't have a Malcolm X.
Right.
So it's kind of like you have both sides, but even with a lot of these different things, tens of millions, not even around the country, around the world, because everyone saw a lot of these protests for what happened. Unfortunately happened here in the States, and they wanted to protest peacefully. And then, of course, you have all those people who want to be able to, as much as the right turns around and says it was a bunch of, Antifa, I also turn around and see, some other things that I'm like, okay, these weren't Black Lives Matter people. They were fully covered up.
They're
They were doing
agitators,
this.
many
They
in which,
were-
yeah.
And it happens in
from other
everything,
cities, from
unfortunately.
other states. These were agitators, and it was a small percentage, even though
very small percentage.
Right, most of the people, and I went to some Black Lives Matter protests here in Las Vegas. Everything was very peaceful as far as what I saw, and these were
Yes.
people that wanted equality, and I thought that was a beautiful thing. I don't condone, any type of violence, attacking the cops, lighting buildings on fire. That's all horrible. But I think the overwhelming majority of people that protested were peaceful people, and it was beautiful to see people that looked differently, that were together and saying, hey, this is wrong. Police officers as a whole need to treat everybody with respect, no matter what you look like,
And here, I do praise especially after UNLV. I praise what our police did. We
Absolutely,
saw
they're
their
heroes.
quick
Those two
response.
cops are heroes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And if you would have just saw all the different agencies that were there,
Yeah.
the way that they, correctly, rather they came in the door and they were ushering us out and things like that. So it's like we have those police people. And
We have to call out good policing.
We
too.
have to.
Yep.
And I have zero fear as a black male going up to any of our police, asking them gun questions with a gun on my hip and an AR-15. I don't have one, but
Yeah.
I don't think I have any fear as some people do out in this, in southern states and things like that.
No question.
Our cops here are great.
No question. If you're just joining us, by the way, his name is Hunter Kane. He's run for office before. He's running for Clark County Commissioner, District C, running as a Democrat. I didn't know this about Hunter, but Bernie Sanders kind of recruited him in to be being a Democrat, and now you're running for office here. I'm not going to ask you to speak negatively about any local officials. I can do that.
Okay.
But there are some wackadoodles in this city and in this state.
Yes, there
You
are.
have the Republican chair, Michael McDonald, who was indicted for a fake electorate scheme. You have people like Michelle Fiore and those types of wackadoodles, MAGA Republicans, as I would call them. You have Joe Lombardo, who I do not consider a MAGA Republican. I consider him more moderate, even though he did endorse Donald Trump. I heard that he was kind of forced into doing that. He didn't show up at his event on Saturday. That's not by
really?
accident.
Okay.
Yeah. But what do you make of the fake electorate scheme stuff on a local political standpoint, where Mike McDonald and Jesse Law, these are people that were indicted for a fake electorate scheme? I just think it's an embarrassment, sure, to Republicans, but it's an embarrassment to the state.
It's a huge embarrassment. And especially if we're talking about Michael. I mean, again, I have some of those Republican friends who go to the meetings, and he is doing everything possible to hold on to power. So much so that, the legitimacy of him being the chair, is questioned by
Sounds like
many
Trump
people
on a
in the
larger
Republican-
scale.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. I don't know what we do with the Michelle. Like me, Michelle Fiore, she terrifies the hell out of me. Not only because she's a MAGA Republican, she is one of the wackadoodles that we're talking about.
Yep.
And then I think specifically, we've read in the newspaper that, she's the state director for some, white supremacist group that's here in Nevada.
Why am I
And,
not surprised?
She does but on top of that, she's a great campaigner.
Yeah.
So she can campaign.
She's a loudmouth.
She can knock doors. She can create the noise. And when you have someone that just, yells America, and then you have the Democrat who's trying to explain why America is great, one is easier to catch on to versus the other. So you have some of these people out there that are just going to keep winning until we find a way to shut this down.
What are some things, if you do become the next Clark County Commissioner in District C, what are some of the things you'd like to see changed? And, first day in office, what would you like to do?
First day in office. I would say two different things. So, I mean, the Clark County Department of Family Services is a huge monster. And unfortunately, even in my household, I've been fostering for about 10 years. It's becoming where I'm questioning getting rid of my license. And a lot of foster parents are getting rid of their license. So much so that the Department of Family Services is now trying to recruit 21-year-olds to, start raising kids. And, hey, if we'll give you an extra incentive, that'd be great, too. Instead of investing in the foster parents that have been doing it for many years.
Wow.
So a huge overhaul of the Department of Family Services. As a veteran, I'm not sure if you know this, Clark County is the only level of government that doesn't have veteran benefits.
I did not know that. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. And, a lot of it, I don't blame the commissioners that are there. It's just we haven't had a veteran serving in over 30 years on the Clark County Commission. So if it's not one of your priorities, then it kind of gets overlooked. So me being there is going to allow me to hopefully create the Clark County Department of Veteran Services. One of the things that allow me to do is be able to, if anything, I want to be able to really create a space, for veterans to be able to meet on a regular basis. They don't have that right now. A lot of them are renting out rooms in different places. I would also love to see if we can't have this department attack organizations that are preying on our veterans. There's a lot of organizations that, if you give me $2,000, I'll help you with your benefits. The benefits are free. Just walk into the VA, and a lot of vets don't know that.
I don't understand how we could live in a country where we don't take care of our brave men and women in uniform. And a lot of these people, sadly, PTSD.
Yes.
Some of these people, of course, are homeless, and they need help. And I don't understand how we could be at a point in our country. These are the first kinds of people that we need to take care of,
Yes.
in my opinion. And I blame both sides for that. Both
Absolutely.
sides have not done a good enough job. I do praise Joe Biden and Jon Stewart for putting together that bill to give people
Yes.
health care. But I blame both sides. We're not doing enough to help our brave men and women who serve this country. And that gets me really, really angry because, and I say this every day, for people like you, I wouldn't be allowed to be on the radio and be an idiot every day. I wouldn't be able to be opinionated and do what I do. We still live, in my opinion, in the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of work that needs to be done. But this Make America Great Again stuff, it's like, well, when was America great? When black people were slaves? When women weren't allowed to vote? I don't understand that slogan. I really don't.
If we want to make America great again, let's take care of our veteran population.
Right.
If we want to make America great again, let's, keep drugs out of the hands of our youth. If we want to make America great again, heck, let's make Nevada great again by not being the 48th, 49th, 50th worst state in education year after year.
The Clark County School District is really bad. Really
so
bad.
It's one of those,
Yeah.
if we really want to make, us great again, then let's not just talk about it and just be like guns, Bible, and guns. Why don't we actually do something that puts us towards that effort?
Absolutely. I mean, since you are running for Clark County Commissioner, I'll ask you, what do you make of F1? What do you make of all the traffic we had to endure? I know they just took down the bridge at Koval. And is it Koval and Flamingo? Yeah. I mean, what do you make of F1? I know it was really good for the economy, but boy, a lot of locals were very unhappy, and I was one of them.
So when it comes to any of these industries that we're getting into sports-wise, the number one question I have is what kind of impact directly gives back to the people? So F1, very little to none. In fact, there were more local businesses that
Lost
said they
millions.
were hurt
Yeah.
versus helped.
Right.
So, at least when you're looking at the Golden Knights and at least when you're even looking at the Raiders and stuff like that, you're looking at how much they're giving back to the community directly. I would love it if, Formula One would have worked more with our business-to-business contacts and not just the top, Fortune 500 type businesses, but coming to the local mom and pops. Small things. We have a straw factory. Maybe we produce all the straws for it and create it. But I think it created a bunch of traffic. I avoided the strip in most of the areas that it was around. Businesses were hurt. Overall, I know we signed a contract, but I would prefer, if we're going to have them back again or when we're going to have them back again, that we have serious changes. Let me say it that way.
How about the Super Bowl? Obviously, the Super Bowl coming to Las Vegas now. I can't believe I'm saying that in less than 2 weeks. I mean, what do you make of the Super Bowl? Benefits, negatives? What do you make of it?
So I think personally we should just shut down the Super Bowl. The Cowboys aren't in it, so there's no purpose of having it. I
feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I'm such a Cowboys fan. But, we'll get there one day. We've been saying that for 30 plus years, but we'll get there one day. For something like that, I think the Raider Stadium is already established, and the activities, I think this is the second, third year where we've done, different type of things. And in fact, just this past weekend, we were, with the NFL Green, planting trees around parks. They were doing quite a few different things for the community. So I think overall it'd be great. Although I don't know the price tag about those tickets. I think they're like $10,000 a piece.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So like for the locals, we can't enjoy it.
No, not to say that the Raiders tickets are, it's cheaper than the Super Bowl, but that's another story. But yeah, so I want you to do me a favor, give out your information, your website, how people could get involved in your campaign, and maybe some things that we didn't touch on about your resume, your history, and why you decided to run.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you can look up Elect Hunter Kane on all the social media platforms. I even have a TikTok. So, the TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also just go to electhunterkane.com. Is always a great way to do it. What I always tell people about why I'm running, and, the biggest things about my resume is that I believe in service. So rather it's service of country, as we talked about. I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom in New Dawn. And then after I left service, I went to the National Guard, and served there. And then rather it's service on county. Mm-hmm. I am a Clark County school district substitute teacher. So I do that in my part-time, aside from my regular job. On top of that, from the education side. I'm also a Clark County foster parent. I do a heck of a whole lot in the county. I'm doing a lot for when it comes to our state. I believe in service. So if you think of, hey, what is one thing Hunter believes? Service.
Well, you walk the walk and you talk the talk and walk the walk, so they say. You serve this country, and when you look at all the kids that you've impacted and foster kids, it's pretty incredible what you've done with your life, and I'm happy that you're going to be coming in more here on a regular basis, and
Absolutely will.
I look forward to that. Can you give out the website? Do you have a website? Give out the website and all that stuff.
ElectHunterCain.com. Or again, go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and search up ElectHunterCain.com. Contributions are always great because it's a campaign, but what we're really looking for are volunteers. So if you're one of those people saying, hey, I don't have money, but I want to be able to help, go there, give them your volunteer information. Rather it's knocking doors, we have letter writing campaigns, language translations. We have a million different things that you can do to help us.
I love that. And I know people, especially those on the Occupy Democrats Network, will be checking it out. Thank you for what you've done for this community. It's just awesome. Your story is super cool as I learn more about you. A decorated, combat veteran. And I know that people like you are very modest, but you are a hero. I would say that about anybody who serves this country, especially somebody like yourself. So I highly recommend anybody go to his website, learn a little bit more about him. If you haven't learned enough already, learn a little bit more about him. And I can tell you right now, Mr. Cain's going to be joining us on a regular basis here on this show, and I really look forward to it because it's really, really good conversations to have, especially with somebody like you who've served this country honorably. And like I said, it's one thing if people talk, but you walk the walk as well, and you put it all on the line. Well, I appreciate you being here. We'll have you in again soon, and I wish you luck with your campaign, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of more to talk about next time you're here, both on a national level and a local level. So I really do appreciate you coming here, Mr. Cain. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, everybody. Well, that's kind of a wrap. Long show. Talked about a lot of different topics, including the Orange Man that was in studio over the weekend, or not in studio, in Vegas over the weekend, Donald Trump. Tomorrow on the show, this is a weird situation. He used to be a lifelong Democrat. He was mayor of North Las Vegas, and now he switched to the Republican Party. Oh boy, I'm going to pick his brain tomorrow. John Lee is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Why in 2024 would people switch parties from the left to the right? I'll ask him tomorrow. I appreciate Hunter Cain for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow on the show. Same time, same place. I hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza